It's playing fuck with my thing now.
Good morning, Carl. How are you, mate? All right?
I'm all right, yeah. Thanks, Luke. How are you?
Very well, thank you for asking. Very well for.
Yeah. Don't know how I'm going to do this now, but yeah, okay.
No, I can. Yeah, it's good. Go, sorry, mate. I'm in two worlds. I'm just trying to sort this new Instagram live thing out. So welcome everybody. Obviously, this morning we're going to have a bit of a chat about yesterday. A little bit of a chat about things that are upcoming. But yeah, we'll run a bit of an intro, and we'll get into it. We have got a guest joining as well, so it's worth noting. Noting. Yeah.
Yeah, noting.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and you are listening to the Ought to Know Better podcast. Let's do this.
You look like fucking Brolin, you're a Leeds eating bastard. Look like some sort of fucking weird floating head. No. He's a utensil player a bit, innit?
I mean, I feel a bit right, dickhead.
Nothing spectacular, really.
Good morning. I'm having some real issues here. I'm not going to lie.
What?
So basically, what I've done, I've managed to get Instagram Live going this morning for the first time ever. But it's a few seconds behind, and everything through Instagram Live is playing through my ear now. So I'm talking to you, and then I'm hearing it back in my ear like about 5 seconds after.
Right. Try closing the Instagram. Can you not just close the Instagram?
Can't close it, mate, because I don't know how it bloody works. I'm not clever enough. I probably should have tested this before I just don't know, before I started. So, but either way, I'm going to have to just deal with it, I think. But I'm going to have to be able to listen to you and me at the same time.
And then when Joe comes on then as well, you see.
Yeah, I just going to close Instagram down.
So
we've probably gone off Instagram, but who cares?
Yeah,
because I couldn't deal with that all morning. But anyway, mate, how are you doing?
I'm okay, yeah. Not too bad. I'm awake anyway.
Hungover?
I wouldn't say hungover. I did wake up on the couch at 3 o'clock this morning, but you know,
alone.
That's okay. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
What were you watching? What were you watching when you were you watching Babe Station Freeview or something like that?
No, I actually put on Match of the Day, and I got to just where they started the Luton game, and then I passed out.
All right, man. Yeah. Anyway, Joe's here now. Let's get Joe in. Joe, morning, mate. How you doing?
Morning, mate. Yeah, I was just laughing away there to what was being said. Still, mate, I've still got my dressing gown on me. I'm not long been up, so yeah.
We don't have a dress code on this channel. We don't even have a code. So. Cheers for joining us, mate. This morning. I know me and you were on till quite late last night. Sort of trying to, quash a few myths and things about obviously around people's thoughts, I suppose, after it. But we'll get into that a little bit. Let's actually start with the game. And yeah, I've just listened to Glenn Kamara's interview actually, and it was quite interesting that he openly said, I don't know if you've heard it, his interview with Jermaine and Emma on the LUTV live channel. He mentioned around, we were the better side, but we couldn't break them down. It seems to be a bit repetitive, that, and I know, Joe, we've got into it in some depth last night, but if the players are noticing that, what else can change?
Is it for me?
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? Because I've just been listening to Square Ball as well, actually, the match ball this morning, and they were talking about what Leeds could have done differently. Now, in that game, and I know it's hard to look at that game in isolation because everyone's like losing their minds at the minute, but I don't think we did a hell of a lot wrong, on reflection. I don't even think the subs were wrong. I look at it, he didn't just throw 6 strikers on. He brought on Nonto and he brought on Bamford, and I thought, apart from Bamford just jogging about, because I know some like Bamford, some don't, but I just don't think he impacted the game at all yesterday. There was one moment where he touched the ball and he tackled himself, but I thought Nonto was pretty effective. I just thought Joffrey did okay. That was a surprise. So I was trying to think about it, mate, while I was just on the toilet there, to be fair. And I was thinking, what did we actually do wrong? Like, what could, because listen, man, I woke up this morning, I'm seeing, and if he was American, would be saying this. I'm like, what's going on here, man? Like, I'm really surprised at the full outrage, the elitism of some people right now. You know, I've just sent you something in the private chat, and we were talking yesterday, Luke. We were talking yesterday about Leeds since August, because August, we were saying last night, it's been mad. It'd actually be third, I think, only 2 points behind Ipswich and Leicester since August, according to that table. So yeah, I think we're doing all right, but it's just because it's looked at as a collective, and Ipswich and Leicester are so far ahead. But yeah, actually yesterday, I don't know what more we could have done apart from be better finishers. Now that for me is not on the manager. I did forget to mention this in my post-match. I remember losing my head at the time. Dan James, that penalty. I guess you were at the game. Obviously, I'm sat at home watching it. Why he's gone down is beyond me. Whether or not he's not confident enough to think, I can't stay on my feet and finish this with two centre-backs, so I'm just going to try and go down. But it was abysmal. It was abysmal, and that was such a silly decision. But I thought Dan James played well yesterday. I'm just trying to look at reasons as to why we didn't win the game. And I can't really come up with any, Luke. I think we played well yesterday. Honestly, I do. And that's trying to be objective. I don't think we actually played bad.
I don't think we played bad, John. No, I think you're right. I don't think we did play bad. I think the frustration is born out of dominating 80 minutes of that game and having full control of the possession and the territory and everything else that goes with it, and just not seeing the game out, And we've spoken about it on not only last night but also on the final word so many times now that we just don't seem to be that team that's you look at Southampton's result yesterday, they're going to batter somebody 4 or 5-0. And unless we haven't done that this season yet, despite how good we are, we haven't really. Huddersfield, we beat them 4-1 and what 3-0. But other than that, we've not really battered anybody. And it goes back to what we're saying here, Carl. I don't know what your thoughts on this are, but Joe and I certainly agreed that. Do you think that the instructions are to slow the tempo once we go ahead? Do we tend to? And obviously, I weren't at the game yesterday. I've been to a fair few this season, but does it feel like the tempo drops when we go ahead or when we go 2 up? Does it? Because obviously Plymouth managed to get a goal back, and they're not anything to shout about. Do you tend to feel that's an instruction, or do you think it's the players who just sort of drop off a little bit and maybe get that little bit overconfident, as we mentioned, Joe? What about you, Carl? Do you agree with that?
I did notice there was stuff like that happening more recently than yesterday, and it's hard to understand why, when you go 1-0 up and you've got a team on the back foot and they're clearly shook from going 1-0 down, why you decide to slow a game down. I look at the way we play at the minute, and I can see there's a lot of positives in there, but then you do see the likes of Meslier. I know it's part of the tactics or whatever, but when he's dilly-dallying on the ball and he doesn't get it out wide, when you can see yourself that all that we're doing is getting players out wide and going with it, like it's impossible to understand if it's a tactic, which I'd be honest with you, isn't probably the best tactic in the planet. Once you go a goal up, just go for the jugular, get another one. Don't let them rest. I think the way it looks and feels when you're there or even watching on TV, it's like we get that goal and then we invite teams into the game. And for some reason, teams seem to have worked that out, and that's why we kind of struggle, I think, after a little bit. I'm not going to criticise Farke by any means at all. Ipswich and Leicester having freak seasons. The points we're on now, we'd be top, essentially, in any other season, really. I can't criticise Farke too much. what I would say is his substitutions could maybe come a little earlier. If we're losing the flow of the game, try and get them on a little sooner. I thought in that first half, I'd have hooked Rutter at half time and put Nanto in the 10 and put Pirro up front. I know Farke wants to play the way he wants to play, but I genuinely would have put Nanto in the 10 role and taken Rutter off and put Pirro up front and see how that works, because we bought Nanto initially as a striker, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, so why not play him down the middle where he's been most effective for the Italian team? It got him in the Italian team, even playing for Zurich. So why not try him down the middle? He can pick a pass. He's strong on the ball. He's well able to hold it up. I don't know. These are little things that I'm kind of noticing. I don't know if anyone else is.
No, I agree. But I think probably where my frustrations are, not necessarily with the team or with Farke, but more with our fans, I think. And it's around Farke and the fact that they're blaming him. Look, I've seen somebody compare him to. Somebody said yesterday, if he was American, he wouldn't be. He'd be under so much stick now. Yesterday, and now I'm not going to name that person for obvious reasons or whatever, because I don't know if he was taking the piss, but that's pretty much what he said. So he was essentially comparing him to Jesse. So my frustrations come from there. And look, nobody's beyond criticism. We all expect that actually there is tweaks that could be made, and we can all see. We could see tweaks that could have been made with Marcelo's system. If it had just dropped from man marking sometimes to go zonal, we'd probably conceded less goals. It's quite simple sometimes as an outsider looking in and as a fan, and after a few pints and talking to your mates and that. But realistically, I mean, is there anything that you, other than the substitutions and little tweaks here and there, maybe swapping a couple of positions, is there anything that you're, Joe, I'll ask you this actually, is there anything that, I probably know the answer, but is there anything that you're completely unhappy with in terms of to the level of some of the actual tweets and some of the Instagram posts and things we've seen yesterday?
No, that's what I don't understand. I genuinely think, mate, and people won't want to hear it, but if we could somehow just remove Leicester and Ipswich from everyone's retinas for a second, they would all be like, "Oh, we're doing well, man. Don't worry." Yesterday's would have been, "Look, you can't win them all. It's fine." It's because they're so far ahead that we're like, "We're rubbish. We're doing
I'll
it
just
all
share
wrong."
this, Joe, while you're talking, mate.
Yeah,
Joe's just shared this this league with us. I think it's
with August games taken out, I think, mate. Someone shared it with me. Yeah,
with August games taken out. So if you can see that. So we're taking August out. So I know we didn't have the best of August. We didn't have the worst August. We only lost one game in August. We didn't. We had players that playing for us who were no longer here. We didn't. It was uncertain. We had two keepers on the bench. We had all these little things going on that, that disrupted the football club essentially. But you take August out, and Ipswich are top by 6 points, and Leicester are only 3 in front of us. That's taking the most troublesome month out of football that we've arguably had. We've had a takeover we've had players in, players out. We've had players not training with the first team. One of them who's still with us. There was a lot happened in August, and I know we can't discount August because it was the first month of the season. But because we are using that as a, let's say, a bedding in period, bedding in period. If this was the table now, we would not be where we were after a draw yesterday. We wouldn't be sort of calling for Farke's and everything, would we?
Yeah. No. That's the main point.
We're not.
Yeah. No, exactly. But I mean, that table's from the 1st of September to the 17th of December. Today. So Leicester have got a game. Maybe they win, but again, that's just 6 points. Do you know what I mean? That's nothing. We'd all be sat here going, "Well, we've got Ipswich next, and then Ipswich have got Leicester. We might be in top 2. Do you know what I mean? But because of August, and I do put a lot on that. I know we did win some games. We actually beat Ipswich in August. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even if you look at that game, they scored 3 goals, and everyone keeps telling me, "Oh, it was a lot closer than you think." Well, no, actually, the 3 goals they scored, we gifted, man. Rodon scored an old goal. We were all over the shop for me for the full month. Cardiff draw at the start of the season. We got beat by Birmingham, which was a rubbish game. That was a late penalty, if I remember. Dan James fouling someone. So, look, there are things that we as a fan base go, just pay Pirro in the 9 and Rutter in the 10, please, right? I get it. I do get it. Make your subs earlier. Don't wait till we're behind to throw 6 strikers on, or don't wait till we're 2 goals in front to then bring on the old guard, because that seems to be the genuine thing. It's like we get 2 goals in front, he's comfortable enough and goes, and maybe it's a case of Daniel Farke properly doesn't trust this squad. That's all I can put it down to. Why he's not using Gruyev, for example. I'm not saying he needed to come on yesterday, because I actually thought Ampadu was back to his best. I thought he was really good yesterday. Yeah, really good. I thought Rodon was really good yesterday, and we've been saying, oh, they look a bit jaded, because if we look at Rodon and Ampadu at Sunderland, I thought they were both pretty poor. You compare them yesterday, they were arguably the best players on the pitch. I thought Rodon and Ampadu, especially Ampadu on the cover, whenever someone lost it, he'd just motor around, nick the ball, and we'd go back up the pitch. Because to be fair, it was an easy team to defend against. Like we said yesterday, look, they just hoofed it up to Ellie Sims. I think the frustrating thing is the goal as well. Like, they shouldn't score, and we'd all be laughing. They shouldn't have. They
have no right to have their centre forward in that position, did they? At that time of the game,
the centre back.
Yeah, sorry, the centre back.
Crazy. A catalogue of errors, weren't it? That's obvious. That I still don't know, because I've not seen the goal back, but I don't know. I think the square ball I just listened to said Kamara lost the ball, but how it ended up wherever to a centre back heading it in the back of the net, that's where the real issue lies. Further back, but. Yeah, I don't look, bar the Rutter Pirro switch. I'm not too sure, but I agree with.
There's somebody got a girl under the bed.
Oh, hold on a second. 1 second. 1 sec.
Is that Gaelic? Was that Gaelic, do you think?
Is he letting her out of the cellar, is he?
It must be Gaelic, I think, maybe. I'm not too sure.
No, mate, I completely agree with you. I think other than, why not even try it? Just try it.
Yeah.
And yesterday would have been a good game to try it in, because they didn't put us under much pressure.
No, yeah.
I mean, in terms of, we didn't feel like they were sort of in our half much. Ipswich isn't the game to try it. Do you know what I mean? Because it worked well at Ipswich with Pirro behind him. Where we scored 4 goals, and Pirro and Rutter played really well together. There's no reason why they can't change it as per opposition as well. I think teams that we struggle to break down, Rutter would be better in the 10 and Pirro in front. However, in the games where it's more open, I think it really works really well where Pirro plays behind Rutter. So it's just real. It's frustrating, and it is just a tweak, isn't it? It's not. We need a new style, because since Farke has come in, it's arguably been the first time we've had an actual style, play patterns since Marcelo. And we've enjoyed it. You said last night we had one of your mates on, a Leicester fan, wasn't he? I forget his name. And he came on. He said Leeds play the most exciting football in the league. He said Leicester are boring, but they're getting wins. We play the most exciting football in the league, and we've got fans telling us that we've got no ID, we've got no patterns, no excitement. It's boring to watch. I mean, I don't know where to get that from, Cal. Does it feel boring when you've been in the stadium there yesterday?
No, I don't think it does. Like, we're electric when we go forward. The only problem I find is that we get very narrow once we get into the final third, where, like, Pirro's a big lad, Rutter's a big lad. We've got a couple of, Ampadu and Kamara breaking late in the box. Like, we've got tall players in there, and we don't seem to be utilizing when we do get it wide. Like, we just seem to get in the box, make it narrow, get a pullback somewhere along the lines, and sometimes it can be a bit predictable. But when we break, we could score every time when we break if we just pick the right pass or utilize the options out wide. Because yesterday I found that when we did have the ball, Strike was bringing it forward towards the end of the game, but he was very slow to play it out to Nanto. It was very like Nanto was in acres of space at one point, and a quick ball out to him had their right back and right centre back absolutely taken out of the game. Maybe stuff like that could be a little bit, quicker in the transition. But all in all, I think the way we're playing at the moment is very, very nice to watch. I don't feel it, like last season, we just didn't know what the fuck was going on at half the time, you know.
Yeah, no,
So,
fair.
But at least we can see a kind of pattern of play in what Fark wants to do, rather than just, you know, a chaos. Just it wasn't even organized chaos; it was just chaos. Like,
yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, in terms of the actual feeling in the stadium, because obviously I wasn't there yesterday. I do go most weeks, but and I know the answer to this. But does the feeling and the atmosphere within the stadium mirror that of social media? Do you think there's anybody calling for Farke's head who are actually watching the games?
no, I don't think so. Not at all.
Absolutely not.
Like
Absolutely
no one
not.
around me has even mentioned anything about letting Farke go or anything like that. That conversation isn't even happening. The only conversation that's happening is why the hell is Deej Spence playing at left back when he clearly can't play at left back.
I don't think he did bad there yesterday.
He was, for me, he was the problem with the goal. He put in a soft tackle before the cross went in. Not happy with this. I genuinely, I wasn't happy with his performance yesterday. Anytime you could see how weak he is on his left foot, because every time he bombed forward and he was getting into such good positions, he'd stop, come back around, play it inside. And you're like,
yeah,
just have the confidence in yourself to knock it round that right back and beat him for pace. And all you have to do when you've got the ball in front of you and you're striding onto it, you only need to kick it with your left foot. And chances are it's going to be a half decent cross. It's the momentum of the ball and your pace that brings you out. You can use your left foot, but he hasn't got one. It's just for standing on. That's all his left foot for. It's just for standing on.
Still better than Firpo's left foot.
I think you make a great point, and I think as good as Archie's been at right back, I have sort of come round to the idea that we're playing two players out of position. Why not? And listen, I think Gray can actually play right back, so I would argue, you know, he's adapted that. So are you really playing him out of position? But the trade up you would get if Spence was on his right foot over him having to check back because he's not confident on his left probably is a massive improvement, to be fair. So I do think there is a case of saying, why not just have one player out of position? Because we know, we've already seen this season that Archie could probably play at centre-back and we'd all go, he'll probably do a job. Yeah. He's that type of player. He's that good. He's intelligent. So for me, I would make a case for saying, right, next game, let's switch them two. Because I also think on the right-hand side, Spence would dovetail with the right winger or whoever that is so well. He does to an extent with Somerville, but like you said, they end up getting in each other's way because they both try and come inside because they're both like predominantly right-footed. Whereas Spence on the right-hand side is going to be able to overlap and get the ball and maybe whip one in and find a pass, you know, cut back or even run at the fullback that he's up against, which, you know, I think he'll fancy 9 times out of 10. So I think there is a case for saying that. Against Ipswich, I would give it a go, especially with Leif Davis going to be playing so high. There's going to be so much space for Spence to bomb into, to be fair.
Yeah. I just to put it to you, Joe, while you're on, I personally would feel confident enough of Archie playing left back far better than Spence, because I think, like you said, he's a very intelligent player. For his age, he's unreal. Like, and he can turn on a sixpence. He can get, like you've seen him get out of tight corners in the right when we've been on the back foot. I'd be more confident putting him on the left-hand side and Deej Spence on the right than I would having it the other way around, like you said, playing two players out of position. Like I think he's intelligent enough and good enough to play left back.
Yes,
I think we've whenever we've got a right-foot player playing at left back, we're always going to have that issue, regardless of who it is, because they're always going to feel more confident coming back inside and playing it back to Pascal Struijk than putting it on the left foot and playing it round him to Cree or whoever's down that left-hand side. And that's one thing we are missing, and I think that's one thing a lot of teams have wised up to as well, knowing actually we don't really need to mark Cree while he's out on the left too much, because they're not really going to get the ball out to him. If we put a player in front of whoever's playing left back, he's not going to attempt that pass 9 times out of 10. So, you know, it is. I think it is something definitely worth noting. I just wanted to Just want to get through a few of these comments. We had some really good.
Do you know what?
comments
Just while you get some comments in, Johnny
Yeah.
Cooper's just tweeted out: Leeds United are still yet to win a championship game this season without Sam Byram in the starting 11. So we've
Really?
played 6 with him, drawn 5, and lost 1. So that's
Without him,
mad
you mean?
one. Yeah, without him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Wow,
I was going to try and make that point as well. Like you were on about Sam Byram or right-footed players playing on the left. I don't think it has phased Sam Byram in the slightest. If you didn't know who Sam Byram was and you just started watching football for the first time, you'd look at him and think, yeah, he is actually a left back.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he
used
is a
his
left back,
foot.
but he's a right-footed left back, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's well able to use his left foot. He can turn on players with his left foot, and he's naturally right-footed. Like, so the point Johnny makes is a fantastic point because it just shows that he is our left back at the moment for me.
Yeah. No, I completely get that, mate. Right then, sorry, mate. Just back to
Comments.
let's just get Johnny Cooper's comment up, just to sort of because I missed that. Present. There we go. Johnny Cooper, yeah. So there it is. Leeds are yet to win championship. 5 draws, 1 defeat. Leeds have won 12 of the 16 games when he started. That's mad, isn't it? And look, I have to take my hat off to him because I was one of the few who questioned this signing massively when we signed him, because I didn't think we would get 12 games out of him, if I'm perfectly honest, with his injury record at this level. But it just goes to show how important somebody being in the club, and it goes back to this argument about the old guard and why people are saying to bin them off. Like, you need players who know Leeds United, and you need players who know what it is to be around, and people who just get it. Archie Gray's one who gets it. Liam Cooper, regardless of your thoughts on his defensive acumen, he gets it. Luke Ayling, another, Stuart Dallas. Those types of players are really important. If you had a team of Willie Nontos or Creed Somerville's running around, the place would be absolute carnage, wouldn't it? They'd all be taking each other's head off and that. Look at the final whistle yesterday. Somebody didn't shake Creed's hand, and he went. Oh, Creed didn't shake the lad's hand, and he went off on one. You need these calm heads around, and often when you're playing beside somebody like this, it just gives you that additional percentage of confidence. That this player is there and going to be there. But yeah, no, completely agree. Around what were your thoughts on Byram actually, Joe? When he signed, were you similar to me, or did you think it'd be a good signing?
No, so I remember being frustrated with the fact that the 49ers took so long in getting transfers, and I was trying to, because I felt people were a little bit too relaxed about it. It proved that they were right in the end, but I was going, if you'd have told me we're signing Sam Byram at the end of last season, you'd have lost your shit. Why is everyone okay with this? But the actual signing of Sam Byram, I liked, and I think, listen, I'm everyone is a fan in different ways, right? I get attached and have and I've always liked Sam Byram. I remember when he came through, when he was a shining light, even under Warnock, when he was playing him at right wing at times, and I was a bit gutted that he left, and then obviously he's had these injuries. So actually seeing him come back, I remember doing a short about it, because I think the season he broke through, he was our player of the year. So he was, for me, I liked it. Did I think it had gone as well as this? No. But yeah, I mean, I'm buzzing for him. And I hope he get promoted just so he can be in the squad in the Premier League with Leeds. Do you know what I mean?
He deserves
that. Yeah, he deserves it. But that's the type of fans we have. There'll be others that'll go, oh, the standards are on the floor. Get him gone. We need to bring
mediocrity.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Everyone's different, man. That's the point. I want him to just come on for 10 minutes in the Premier League, and I'll be like, yes, buzzing.
Well, didn't he say in an interview there recently that it didn't feel like the right time when he left Leeds, that he left because he wanted to get back up with the club and he wanted to be there and he wanted to do this and that. And he kind of said, this is my second chance to help the club get up. And when a player comes in like that, regardless of anybody's opinions of him, whether they want him there, they don't want him there, whatever the case may be, like you said, Joe, that's the kind of player that you want around the squad. Someone that actually knows what it means to the whole club and city, not just these kind of guys that have come in and they understand all the culture of Leeds United, but they don't know what it means
let's be real. Cree Somerville, Willie Nonto, those types of players, they're using Leeds United as a stepping stone. They're going to go way and beyond playing for Leeds United, aren't they? You know, it's a stepping stone to them. To people like Sam Byram and Liam Cooper and Ayling and I mean, Archie Gray's probably, we're not using it as a stepping stone, but he will go on to bigger and better things, hopefully, with Leeds. But this is their pinnacle. This is the top of that. This is the level they can get to, and that's why it means so much more to them, I feel. But look, we can sit and go on about old guard, new guard, all that bollocks for hours. But let's go on to a few of these comments. Simon Colley says, "One for you lads to mull over. I see a few posts about Farker having no plan B. Does anyone subscribe to this? Do we think he's got a plan B, or do we just do?" Do we do the old Bielsa? Do we do plan A better? Do you know what I mean? I don't see what we're doing. We're not doing much wrong, are we? Other than not scoring enough goals sometimes, which isn't necessarily down to Farker, because we had his chances yesterday.
Yeah, I think, is there a case for maybe a different plan that sees us being able to break down a low block, which is where we're struggling, but I think we struggled under Bielsa in certain games as well. Sometimes teams just do it really well. Like, I would look at that Huddersfield game where we battered them. That is a case for a team that tried to do it and are shite at doing it, right? And still left massive gaps and massive holes. If you compared that with Sunderland, they were very good at doing it. Their three centre-backs, I think Ballard and Luke O'Nien, and then you had the wing-backs of Trey Hume and Huggins. As a unit, I think we could have played all day and we were never scoring. They were that good at it. You know, you just come up. Sometimes you can't find the key to unlock the door. That ultimately, unless you have a Pablo who can play that, or even I rated Click with his reverse passes that none of us even seen, and all of a sudden Saiz or whoever's getting on the end of it, and you're like, whoa, how did he even see that pass? You know, so I do think with better personnel, but again, I don't think that's the tactics. That's just having better players. If he had better players to call on, he would use them. So I've heard a lot that Leeds will only get one or two, and I subscribe to that. But the closer we get and the more I hear Farker, I think we're going to be very busy in January. I think we might see a few. Yeah, I do, because I think the 49ers want to, because I think the 49ers will see there is a real opportunity. And the facts are, we can all sit here. If we do not go up, this squad is going to be ripped apart. Because there's too many good. Rodon's not staying. Spence won't stay. You then go into midfield. Okay, you might keep Ampadu and Kamara, but you're losing Somerville. You're losing Nonto. You're losing Rutter. You know, that then is almost like you need the new front four. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So the 49ers must know that now we need to throw everything at this. We really do. So. Yeah.
In terms of the plan B, then, do we think this plan B is just to go all out attack? And what do you make of that then, Carl, when we've got 6 strikers on the pitch? And look, it's effective because we create more chances, and it's frustrating because we actually play high energy, high tempo, and look like we want to score for the last 10 minutes of every game when we're chasing either a win or a point. And is that his plan B? And is it a plan B, or is it just a Hail Mary for you? What are your thoughts on when he just? I mean, he didn't do it yesterday. He did it in two separate transitions, didn't he? Two periods. So he brought Bamford and Nonto on first, and then brought Joffrey on, and that was it, wasn't
it? They brought off. Was it just the 3 subs yesterday? Yeah.
Bamford, Nonto, and Joffrey,
and then brought Joffrey on. So I mean, even though bearing in mind he came off for a left back, a centre midfielder, and who else came off yesterday? Dan James, was it?
Yeah.
No, James stayed on.
Pirro came off. Yeah, it's Pirro. So they brought 3 attackers on, but only brought 1 attacker off. So I mean, we essentially had 5 or 6 forwards on at that time. Still, what are your thoughts on that?
Do I think that's a plan B or a Hail Mary? I think it's a bit of both, if I'm being honest. But that kind of a Hail Mary is only going to work when you've got that creative player that can find that pass in the middle. Or even find that little dink over the back of the defence when we're playing tight and playing in their final third. Like Joe said, Sunderland were by far and away the best team we came up against when it came to counter-attacking our aggressive kind of style moving forward. They very much kill off the lines where we would normally find these little intricate passes. And I think that's where we're kind of losing a bit of the momentum when we do the Hail Mary plan B. scenario is that we don't have that player who can find that one ball in a tight space where they've got they essentially had 11 players behind the ball for large portions of it, and then trying to just
they're 10 and they left Ellis Sims up front and just hope with a long out ball that they'd find him somewhere. He's quite quick, quite strong. Do you know what I mean? I completely agree. Smarty's said here, what he's supposed to do against a regimented team that are disciplined and solid defensively will always struggle. Any team would. Plan B is to put more attacking players on the field, and I think he's right.
Yeah,
it's not often I agree with Smarty, but I think he's spot on. I think what else? I think we've all sort of beaten around the actual correct answer, and it is to have a naturally gifted number 10 in there who's got vision, who can play a you mentioned it, who can play a reverse pass or nutmeg a mermaid and go through. So that I think that is what we're missing, and I think playing Pirro in there in these types of games specifically doesn't work. And I think it is just a minor tweak or two for me to have a decent plan B where we can actually unlock them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I think the sooner we get that plan B sorted, in January, is going to be better for us. I think going off I didn't hear all of Fark's post-match interview, but he would never throw anyone under the bus or anything like that. He's fairly responsible, but you could hear it in what stuff he was saying that he did particularly want a more creative player to come in. I think is the undertones of what he was saying, in my opinion.
Look at his Norwich teams; they're Buendia. And Pookie would press and Buendia who'd do the unlocking, and that's the difference between his success. I feel. Go on, Joe.
Yeah.
Would you? Because Leeds fans won't want to hear this, but we have to remember the Gnonto situation. So I think we would all accept him. He really wanted Amiri. He really, really wanted Amiri. Amiri's not played at all for Leverkusen. I speak to Locke Hughes on my channel, who's. Yeah, I mean, his football knowledge is pretty bob on, to be fair. And he thinks Amiri would be perfect for what Leeds United need, or someone of that ilk. I still believe that Pirro wasn't Leeds' first choice. I believe they were waiting for Archer. Once Archer went to Sheffield United, they then pushed the button on Pirro. And to be fair, again, to Andrea and Locke Hughes, football knowledge much better than mine, they both said Pirro doesn't fit the system, but Leeds United, because I think it's not wild to say that if we got promoted, he needs replacing anyway. That's a mad thing. I just don't think, because we bought a striker that can't press and we want a striker that presses. I don't know. Whereas Archer would have done that for us. Do you know what I mean? And Amiri would have been. So, listen, I don't want to hammer them too much because I think the recruitment's been good. But I think a creative player does massively help this team. How he fits in, I think Pirro comes out, and that might sound mad, but Pirro would have to come out because Rutter's phenomenal, isn't he? At the end of the day,
and unless he's going to run about doing the pressing, that I mean, I'm not comparing Pirro and Bamford here, but Bamford does do that, and he's relentless when it comes to pressing and putting pressure on the back line. But unless Rutter's going to want to work hard, which he doesn't really, he likes to sit sometimes and just drop deep and arrive late when it looks confident like we might get a chance or two.
You say so,
but yeah. Go on,
just one thing, man. It's like we say that Pirro doesn't press, but Pirro is sitting so far deep that he's not given the opportunity to press the back two. That's the thing. So I think when you said there, Luke, rightly, that Bamford does do a lot of the pressing when he comes on, but that's because Bamford's played in the striker position once he comes on. He's not expected to play the 10 role that Pirro has. So therefore, Bamford knows what he's meant to do. He knows he's meant to press. He knows he's meant to put pressure on the centre backs, follow that ball as much as he can. Whereas Pirro is in the middle and he's in that 10 role where he's within his rights to be floating around there and not necessarily pressing. But if he plays up front, I could imagine that the press would be a lot more intense from him because he can't push forward that much forward as often as he's probably meant to in the system.
Do you know when you mentioned as well about we get to the final third and then we play so narrow, which I do agree with you. I do agree with you. I think, at Sunderland, that was one of the frustrating things for me. We brought on 6 strikes and then played so narrow. And I'm thinking, if you just get it out wide and put it in the box, you're giving them something to deal with. And the one time we did, Pirro has a shot at goal that clears. Against Sunderland. Yeah, it gets cleared off the line. So I do agree with you. And I do think in tight spaces, and Smarty mentioned it in the comment, Pirro's not good. Pirro is not good in tight spaces because we see Rutter, Nonto, Somerville being able to pop it in at pace and it just gets popped off to him and it's little 1-2s and sometimes it comes off and Rutter will turn his man and you're like, wow, how's he done that? Whereas Pirro just does not have that quality for me anyway. So I agree with you there, and I think Smarty was hitting the nail on the head in open games. And you mentioned it, Luke. You know, in open games like against Ipswich, Pirro has loads of space. He can get on the ball, he can turn, he can spray it and continue his run like he did against Millwall. Let's not forget that goal he scored against Millwall was arguably the best of the season for me.
Yeah.
So that was when there was space. So maybe Pirro will be used, but in these sort of games, we do need that little tricky player, like a Saiz. I'm just thinking Leeds United, Saiz, like a Pablo. You know, them players, even Click to an extent could have done that, not to their level, but get Click back on loan. What's the situation in America now? Are they allowed back on loan? Landon Donovan used to go to Everton and that. Let's just get Click in, man.
But if he's developed an American accent, then we might be a bit harsher on him.
I've definitely messaged him in the off season, telling him to get his hold back to bleeding. So he hasn't responded.
Just speaking of this potential tricky number 10, then what's your thoughts on this on this guy? Do you think Ilias Chair would be a good shout?
I'd take him tomorrow.
Yeah,
would you?
I would.
Yeah,
I don't know how he's getting on this season. I know I know last season
they've turned a corner, haven't they? They've turned a corner. They've got a new manager, Fuentes, who plays a certain brand of football, and they're starting to pick up results now, QPR, and probably will get out of the relegation zone. I think Chair's been key to that. I think he came off the bench the other night and scored 2 goals or set them up or something. So, I think he'd be perfect for us. But it's whether or not QPR be willing to sell now with the new manager. You just don't know, do you?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like he was their danger outlet when we played them at Ellen Road, and every time he got on the ball, regardless of who was kind of pressing on him, whether it was Archie, whether it was Ampadu, whatever, you always felt like he could find that pass, regardless of who was on him. There was always something on for him, and I think he'd be a kind of player that we should be aiming for, not necessarily
that makeup. Yeah.
Someone mentioned the number 10 at Millwall as well. Recently,
Jan Fleming, I think. Fleming is his name.
Yeah, he's meant to be, doing bits down there for them as well. I'm not seeing much of him now myself, but I think he'd maybe be an option as well. He's not the big name player that we kind of arrogantly expect as Leeds fans, but
See, for me, I think I don't see us buying anybody in January because of the inflated rates. Naturally, I see us looking to the loan market, Premier League players, both for a left back and a 10, at the very least, potentially. I expect offers will probably come in for Willie as well, which will probably entertain if they're in the right sort of regions. He's not been getting much game time. I just wanted to ask you both really quickly on the thoughts on. I know you've done a video and spoke about this, Joe, already, but thoughts on Jadon Anthony not getting many minutes and obviously Sinistera coming back the other way. I mean, I've got my own thoughts on Cine coming back. And I'm pretty sure a lot of Leeds fans share that sentiment. But how would you feel about that, I suppose? And do we think, what's the reality? Do we think it ever happen?
I do think there's a case that Anthony goes back. I do think there's a case that Anthony goes back. Listen, people said pound shop Phil here, whatever. I was told by someone, right? And again, you don't have to hear it, but I dropped a video back in October because I was told that Anthony's people have been contacted by other championship clubs. This was back in October to say, if there's an option, would you be up for it? Because ultimately, you're not getting game time. Since then, Stoke aside, where he played 70 minutes, he's played a total of 72 minutes. In 9 games. Now, he played 240 odd in 4 at Bournemouth in the Premier League. So you can't tell me, even yesterday he didn't get brought on. You can't tell me he ain't saying to his agent, this loan ain't working. Now, I don't know if, I believe, and again, this is not any information, it's just what I believe. I don't think both loans depend on one another. Like if they send us Cine, we have to send them Anthony, or if Anthony wants to go back, they must send us Cine. I don't know if it works like that, but again, I'm not too sure. I don't think Cine's coming back, and I don't think Leeds United would accept him back. I guess it would have to work for all parties. Now, the Anthony one, if Leeds United can find a replacement, I go get a 10, for example. I know he's a left winger, but they'd probably be happy to go to get a 10. I think if all parties say, yeah, we're happy for him to go back, Jayden says, yeah, and Bournemouth go, yeah, we've already got a club who's willing to take him back on loan, then unless, I don't know.
Can he play for another club?
I was just going to say, you can only play for 2 in the same season. So maybe you can't, bro. Yeah, maybe you can't. Yeah. Maybe it's, I don't know. But I don't want, listen, I say I don't want Cine back. I said, I called Nonto a rat.
It's fickle.
We are, though.
Cine comes back and plays. He would be a perfect 10 for me.
Oh,
I wouldn't have him back, but he would be this league a perfect 10.
Yeah.
I hate him and I can't stand him. He would. And if he jumped in there and started 2 assists a game, people would soon forget about what had happened. Do you know what I mean? They would. We would.
CD, like,
it takes some time. Don't get me wrong. He'd probably get booed, and it'd be on him to turn it around. But yeah, I mean, as it goes, we're fickle football fans, and while the club's doing well, we don't give a flying shite, to be honest. Cool. Jay, morning, mate. He was meant to be joining me this morning, but he couldn't get out of his lair. So good morning. Paul Brennan, the stats from yesterday show that we had 20 shots with 6 on target. Coventry only had 7 with 3 on target, I think you remember rightly. So we trebled the total amount of shots on target and trebled their total amount of shots almost and doubled their shots on target. We just couldn't put our chances away. Look, that Dan James chance when he went down for a penalty. Anybody else in those positions probably scores. And Dan James has been good this season, but I think anybody else in those positions and there's 2 goals there for us.
I think he goes down because, like you said earlier, lads, that he probably didn't have the confidence in his ability to finish against the 2 centre-backs or whatever. But he's got in such a good position there where he's got in front of them. Yeah. Now, if he makes the effort to have a shot on goal and then gets clobbered, he gets that penalty. I think it's the fact that he doesn't make the effort on goal.
He's so quick as well. He could have even knocked it round the keeper or anything. That's the thing. I mean, there's so many options there.
He picks it up and he gets in front of them before, literally about a second before he enters the 18-yard box, and he's in the best position to A, have a shot, and B, if he swings his leg at that, you guarantee that one of their legs is going to clip his foot. Something like that, and he completely caffs it, and then he gets the penalty. But because he went down, and as soon as he goes down, he kind of slides around and looks at the ref like that, and you're like, you're not getting that. You get that if you get clobbered. Yeah. That you haven't got clobbered there. You've gone down knowing that you've got defenders tight on your back.
I think had he not had such a good season so far, we would be hounding him for those misses yesterday. Do you know what I mean?
I did at the early parts of the season, Luke. I was battering him, but now I can say, do you know what? He's been great, so I ain't going to do that. This is when people say, you hate a certain player. No, they drop in and out of form. Do you know what I mean? And for me, Dan James, like even yesterday, people saying, because I've been going, I think Nonto should be given a chance. But actually, when I watched that game, okay, Dan wasn't amazing going forward, but defensively in that first half, Dan James was exceptional yesterday.
And defensively.
That's what I'm saying. In the first half, defensively was amazing. If he wasn't there, we don't know what might have happened in them little moves they had, because he just kept coming and winning the ball back. So, he's got to stay in the lineup for me. But I do think Nonto, because Daniel Farker in the presser kept talking about players not taking their opportunity. I do think yesterday was the first time that a sub came on and properly impacted the game in Nonto. So there is a case for Nonto to start against Ipswich from me. And I would remove Pirro. That would be my preferred option.
Yeah, I've said on here a few times, Joe, that we haven't seen, like, obviously the best in Nonto since he's come back from his injury. And anytime he has come on, he's been more defensive-minded than he has been attacking-minded. So we haven't seen what an impact he can actually have. Now, I think over the last 2 or 3 games, we've started to see that. Against Sunderland, he was very creative. He got on the ball a lot, won a lot of free kicks out wide. Gave their right or left back a torrid time of it. Huggins, ex-Leeds player, gave him a torrid time of it. And I think we're starting to see what he can actually bring to a team when we're trying to put the pressure on now, because he's been told go on and just run at players, because you can clearly see it every time we got the ball yesterday in our defence. And I mentioned it earlier that we were so slow to get it out to him out wide. Every time we got that ball, he was getting chalk on his boots. He was that far wide and forward that we just that was clearly what he was being told: get forward at any opportunity. And he wasn't sitting back. He defended when he needed to, but there wasn't many opportunities where he had to come back and put in a shift trying to cover at help out at left back and stuff.
Can I just say as well, Luke? Sorry, Luke.
Yeah.
I'm full of thinking like for those that were like saying stuff last night. Like, do you know? Last night we were talking, and again for anyone who's losing the shit on Farke. So about Farke not having a plan and all this sort of stuff, and we need a different manager. So Johnny Cooper has again put another tweet out, right, to say Rutter has assisted 5 of Somerville's goals this season, the most from one player to another in the league. They've created between them 32 chances for each other. Now, Daniel Farke is the reason for that because, okay, you have to say they're individually brilliant and individually better than the most in the league. I get all that, but the plan is clearly working because if it wasn't, they wouldn't be creating 32 chances for each other. So it's a lot. It's a championship high. It's better than Ipswich players. It's better than Leicester players. So to say that Farke isn't being able to engineer that, because this is the thing. If it was just them, let's drop Jesse Marsh into this team. Let's drop Neil Warnock into this team. Let's drop Sam Allardyce into this team. Do you think Rutter and Somerville are creating 32 chances for each other? No, they're not.
They couldn't get a game under Big Sam.
Exactly. Yeah.
Could I throw a curveball at that one just for a second, Joe, and be like, if they've created 32 chances between them, why haven't we got more goals?
Well, that's not on Farke. No, agreed.
No, I'm not saying that's on Farke or anything but it just shows that we clearly need to work on our finishing if we're creating that many chances and not putting away the goals. And I think it's a great stat because it does highlight something that we do go through those two an awful lot. And if Johnny Cooper's putting out stats like that, then then you can bet your arse there's other managers looking at that going, right, isolate those two, and what do they have after that? So you're there's swings and roundabouts with stats like that, I think, when you dig a little deeper into it. And sometimes the plan B could be to veer away from that. Away from the reliance on having those two on the ball all the time.
Yeah.
Use other players, bring them into the game a little bit more.
Completely. Fly through a few more of these comments quickly. Yesterday feels like a loss. Still trust. This is from Mark Barlow. Still trust and believe in Farke. I honestly think bringing a left back in and a 10 into the squad gets us through a game like yesterday. It's hard to disagree in it. I think the main thing for me is a creative player of some sort, of some ilk. I don't think the left back was the biggest problem yesterday. I do think it is this unlocking teams that play this low block and 10 men behind the ball, including the goalkeeper, and leave one player up and hope for a bit of luck. So I think you're spot on, mate. Alan Kennedy says, in my opinion, we're a better team playing fast, moving forward, not slowing the game down, and with a better use of the squad and having players in the right places, i.e. left back, JS and Archie.
Jed Spence and Archie.
All right. Yeah, and again, another great shout. Like Archie, ideally for us, would be better in midfield, but I thought Kamara and Ampadu were really good yesterday. So whilst we're not creating anything, they're still not looking out of place. I think it's further forward the issue. I think the biggest issue for us is, just to go back to what you said, then they've created just those two players alone 32 chances for each other. Now their return is, they got 7 and 8, got 7.
Somerville's on 10 goals now, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's on 10.
Yeah. On 10 goals and 6 assists or something.
And what's Rutter on goals wise?
I think he's only on 4 or 5, is it? He's not on that many.
So if I have a look in terms of goals, Somerville 10, Pirro 8, Dan James 7. Rutter's not up there. But like, even if we to like, when you go on like, goal involvements are insane. Like goals and assists for the teams, just mad. Like, Somerville's got 16 goal involvements. Rutter's got 13. So that's goals and assists. And then Dan James has 11, Joel Pirro 9. So we can't say it isn't working, because if you look at the other names up there, like Adam Armstrong at Southampton, He's the only Southampton player up that list.
Yeah,
Sammy
yeah.
Schmodix at Blackburn is the only Blackburn player on that list. Whereas Leeds United have a hell of a lot of players within that top 10, which shows you that as a unit and as a setup, we are doing what's required. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just it is just that, and it's frustrating because when we were doing it under Marcelo, it was Bamford that was the problem, not putting his goal chances away.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
he had so many chances in that season, and it's almost like we're reliving that, but we're not to an extent, because any other season we're top of the league here and we're flying. You know, it's worth. I mean, yeah,
it's a freak season to be in the Championship in regards to our position and our points tally at the moment. Like to say that Leicester came down with us and they're in the position they're in is like, you don't expect that. Like, we all thought they've lost this player, they've lost that player, they're going to absolutely calf it, and then they've come out and hit the ground running, and they just
we're not even halfway.
Yeah,
not even halfway.
Look, at the end of the day, right, that we lost an 11-point lead at the top of the Championship, and we ended up finishing third, and Sheffield United sneaked in on
finishing where?
Third.
Oh, sorry.
Joe, that doesn't go away, man. That's on a fucking regular basis with these douchebags. But it's I think it's just a freak season, like, and the fact that we could easily sneak that second spot within the last 3 or 4 weeks if we're close enough, you know.
Yeah, that season, that 2018 season, we were top at Christmas, and we were the first team ever to not be promoted at Christmas, which shows how much of a freak the Championship can be.
Do you know what? Well, we haven't actually lost ground on Ipswich. That's the mad thing.
No,
they didn't win, and we didn't lose. Do you know what I mean? So we're actually as you were.
Yeah.
And people were okay with that prior to the kickoff yesterday.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's mad.
And that will have taken a lot out of Ipswich, that Old Farm derby.
It was.
It was a tough game. Yeah, I mean, there should have been a few more bookings for me. Morsey probably should have got booked in the first half, which would have been nice. And then we've got
our referee was an absolute joke yesterday.
They were both crap. Their game was bad, and ours was bad.
He was so bad, man.
Yeah,
really bad.
Like there was opportunities. I was saying to Luke earlier on, I was like, there was opportunities where they could have been down to 10 men within the first first half. Yeah. Like, I turned to one of my mates and he was like, "Come on, book them." And I was like, what they've done is if you watch it back the full game, there's been 5 fouls on Somerville. And every foul was by a different player. So unless it's a severely bad challenge, which they weren't, so they couldn't get booked on their first challenge. So 5 professional hard fouls on Somerville by 5 different players. There's no ref in the land that's going to book a player on his first tackle, like, really, unless it's, you know, a goal scoring opportunity, or he's last man, or, you know, it's a 2-footer, you can send him off, or anything like that. It's I agree the ref was shocking yesterday, but in relation to their tactics and how they bossed the tackles on Somerville, they got it spot on in that way, because they had 5 big challenges on him, 5 different players. Ref was kind of looking, going, right, you're the first player to it's your first tackle.
So I was really welcoming of the new ruling when they said they're going to let play flow a little bit more, the referees, and maybe not book as much and things. But it seems, I mean, it seems to be come to our detriment this season, because we've got more skillful, better players. And that Dan James against Borough was absolutely smashed to pieces by Borough. And we're lucky that we've been coming out relatively unscathed from him. So, but yeah, standard referee, dog shit. Couple more comments. Go on, sorry.
Sorry, Joe, you were going to mention something there before.
Yeah, I just wanted to get in. I'll take it, mate. Hugh Hefner, I've got a blue one as well, man. It's a good look, man. I can't lie. I just need the women to go along with it, mate. If you know some women who are willing to be, we'll sort it. So I've just seen a tweet there from the second tier. I know a lot of Leeds fans don't like them right now, but after 7 games, Preston were top of the Championship, winning 19 points from a possible 21 and only conceding 5 goals. They've now won 3 games in 15 and conceded the most goals in the division. So that tells you how quick this division goes bang. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying Leicester and Ipswich are going to do that by any stretch of the imagination. But Cal made a great point about us losing an 11-point lead. It happens, and it may happen and could happen. We could fall off and drop out of the playoffs. I don't think we will, but we could. Do you know what I mean? So there is time. And like, I think, I just wish we could just remove Leicester and Ipswich from everyone's mind, because we'd all be sat here going, it's all right, man. It's all right. But instead, I feel that I'm on this, like, and I think you, as I said, it's like, I have to defend Farke. I have to defend the team. Why are you all getting so angry? Why are you comparing him with one of the worst managers we ever had in Jesse March? Why are you doing this? Like, relax. It's okay. Do you know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah. Justin Thomas, is that JT?
No, it's not JT.
No, it's a different JT. We call this one JT. Bamford is a proper number 9. He ain't better than Bamford. Who is he talking about? Oh, I think Ben Brereton Diaz has been mentioned in the comments again. Don't worry about that. Yeah. One final comment then from Alan Kennedy, who said the fact that Daniel Farke wanted a mirror in this summer makes me think Nook Hammond. I think that might be his cousin. Nick Hammond and the team have been doing work in the background for a 10 and a left back in January. Look, that's what they're paid to do. That is what that's their job. So if they haven't been doing work in the background, then they're getting paid for something they're not doing. So all will become clear. I think we're looking a little bit too forward. We've got a lot to get through and a lot to do before January even comes around. But I think I agree with you, Joe, in terms of transfer activity. I think we will be relatively busy, but I think it'll be predominantly loans for me. I don't see us spending too much money in terms of finances and transfers.
Boys, we've got 3 games left this month in December. We've got Ipswich at home, we've got Preston away and West Brom away. What do you see?
Tough games.
Yeah, very tough. I don't think Preston. I think we'll batter Preston, if I'm honest, just because the form they're on.
I think 7 points.
Yeah,
I'd take that.
Yeah.
I'd take 7 points from them 3.
I could see at least 5, but I don't think that would be bad. But in context, it would be horrendous. But 5 wouldn't be a bad shout. But I mean,
if the 3 came from Ipswich, the 5 wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, no.
However, if we beat Ipswich and then drew to Preston, everyone would be going wild, saying what the fuck's going on, and do you know what I mean? So that's again, it's context. We say now that we'd take 5 points over those 3 games, or wouldn't be too bad. But if we draw with Ipswich and beat Preston, people would be buzzing. But if we beat
West Brom away, it's tough, isn't it?
Oh, the hard fixture, really very tough.
That's where I think our 1 point will come from.
Yeah.
Out of the other 2.
I think we'll beat Ipswich.
Yeah.
I think we'll beat Ipswich, and I think we'll beat Preston as well. And I think, we'll probably get a draw down at West Brom, ideally. But I think I would take 5 points at this stage. Yeah.
5 to 7 points would be a good return, I think. And the fact that Leicester and Ipswich play each other twice in a month, if we can... Like I've said for weeks on
There's
here,
a long way,
like, man. We're out of this, we're this and that. I was like, well, let's just catch second place. Forget about first. We can still go up automatically in second. So the way I'm looking at it is Ipswich play Leicester twice in a month. If we can beat them and Ipswich or Leicester can beat them twice, that's them brought back into maybe, to bleeding 2 or 3 points then within touching distance of Ipswich. Then I'm more concerned about second place. Forget first place. Forget it. Just concentrate on second.
Yeah. Yes, Rose, I like your prediction there. 9 points, believe. Look, we've been on over an hour already this morning. Joe, thank you ever so much for joining Carl and myself. Really
nice
appreciate
one,
it. Are you doing anything later on? Do you know yet? Maybe tomorrow.
I'm still waiting, man. Still waiting.
So Joe might be on the final word later. He might not.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. I don't know if I'm getting pied on a date or not yet. Let's wait. Let's wait and see.
Right. Yes.
I think I'm getting pied. Last night I got like, I didn't get in till late, and I'm thinking you're laying the groundwork for a pie tomorrow.
You can tell it a mile away, like
100%, man. Like, this happened, and then tomorrow's like, I didn't get much sleep. I'm like, fuck it off. Final word is.
That's it.
So you might catch Joe later. You might not. Depends if he's gonna get lucky, but just wanted to show you one very thing very quickly, and yeah, it just goes to show what these games mean at Ellen Road to these smaller clubs. Can we call them within the division? Let me just share this. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. It did work for you, Joe, but it might not for me. So let me just share this. If you haven't seen it.
Chelsea, United or anyone, they shall defeat us. We'll fight till the game is won. City.
That is
It's embarrassing, isn't it?
That is Coventry City in King's Cross Station after getting a draw with Leeds United. That just goes to show what it means to these clubs, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's pathetic, isn't it?
That song doesn't really make any sense after a 1-1 draw because they said they keep fighting till they win and they fucking drew. Like, I mean,
and they're talking about beating City and Spurs and Chelsea. It's like, what are we doing here?
You don't even know where their fucking grounds are, lads. You've been away that long. Like,
their ground's owned by a rugby club, innit?
It is, yeah.
Don't must still own them.
They played
anyway,
in
we digress
for a few years, didn't they? And then Birmingham.
Yeah, we digress. But yeah, thanks ever so much, everybody, for your comments. Do hit like and subscribe. And if you don't already, go over and watch some of Joe football shows videos. We'll be back Tuesday night for the main pod. The last one before Christmas, I believe. Oh no, there'll be a Berardi and Coke after Ipswich.
There will indeed
before Christmas. But we might put some Santa hats on for you Tuesday or something like that. But
some Christmas jumpers on them.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Again, enjoy the rest of your weekends, whatever you're doing. Be safe, and we will see you Tuesday. Cheers.
Bye.